One thing I think all reasonable people can agree on is that the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, is a total failure. And it looks like the Department of Justice is finally waking up and realizing that itself. They've really been pointing out some big problems they have with some of the projects or programs that the ATF oversees. And I'm not just talking about Fast and Furious. Everybody knows about Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious was the program that the ATF sponsored, saying that we're going to sell a bunch of guns to some illegal people down in Mexico, and then we're going to use those guns to catch all these cartel members, which made absolutely no sense because they had no way they were actually going to catch those cartel members after they gave them the guns. The guns weren't tracking devices or something, so it made no sense from the beginning. And in the end, all they ended up doing was Eric Holder and the ATF sold thousands of high-powered firearms to cartel members, the vast majority of which have still never been recovered, and now they're out there actually committing crimes with it, and the ATF and Eric Holder have become complicit in dozens and dozens and dozens of murders, including the murder of U.S. border guards. If that's not a failure, I don't know what is. Well, it's a failure when you look at it if their goal was to actually stop crime and catch criminals. I believe their goal was to actually flood the market in Mexico with American firearms so that they can then say, look, we've got to stop selling these guns in America because they're making it to Mexico. I think that was their true agenda, and they got caught, which makes them even negligent and makes them even grossly incompetent in achieving their true agenda because they got caught. So either way you look at that program, what they say they meant to do and what I think they actually meant to do, they failed either way, so that is gross incompetence. But now the Department of Justice is starting to have some serious concerns with their other major thing that the ATF runs, and that is their fake storefronts. Their storefronts that they use as a sting operation to catch illegal traffickers of firearms. They run fake storefronts, they sell stuff out of the backs of vans, just all kinds of basically illegal activities trying to catch criminals. Now, they say they're trying to catch high-level criminals. I really don't see how they're going to catch high-level criminals selling tennis shoes out of the back of a truck trying to get people to trade guns for them. I don't know a lot of cartel leaders that go up and do that kind of thing. So, once again, I think their premise is flawed from the very beginning. I think they're basically just out to demonize guns and punish American citizens for doing something that they might not have done wrong if they hadn't been coerced into doing it. They're trying to create a problem where no problem exists so they can justify them existing to solve that problem that doesn't exist. Well, the Department of Justice is finally catching on to this. They're saying that not only are they not doing any real good, they're also doing a lot of things bad. The agents are poorly trained, the agents abuse the law, the agents unfairly target minors and the mentally handicapped. They have absolutely no qualified oversight of the agents in the field. Basically, they're just violating people's rights willy-nilly, violating the law willy-nilly. No one's telling them not to, and no one's holding them accountable. The Department of Justice said they're really worried that the ATF is basically just using coercion and entrapment to make people commit crimes so that they can then catch them. Minor people that are doing nothing to actually solve any problems, just putting individuals in jail. Often individuals that, like I said, are minors or mentally handicapped who would have not committed a crime if the ATF hadn't actively recruited them to do so. So even after you have all these agents that don't know the law and abuse the law if they do know it, have no oversight and no accountability, are coercing and entrapping people, after you have all that happening, they have nothing positive to show for it. They can't even say the ends justify the means because there are no ends. In fact, the DOJ has said they have not made a single significant arrest. They haven't made any significant progress towards stopping crime. Yet they've clearly created lots of gun violence issues, as we pointed out earlier with the Fast and Furious issue. And if you look at their other big thing that the ATF's in charge of, which is NICS, that's also a failure. NICS has done nothing. There is not a single verifiable crime that NICS has ever stopped. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you could never prove a negative. There's no indications that NICS has ever stopped a crime. There's no indication they've ever in any way significantly impacted gun violence or violence, period. And there are cases where they've actually caused people to be harmed. People that were being threatened by ex-spouses, boyfriends, etc., and then went to get a gun, they were delayed, and then they were killed while they were waiting to get their permit. So it has been proven that they have cost lives, but not saved a single one. All NICS basically does is persecute legal gun owners like myself by delaying us, sometimes denying us, and then now refusing to hear appeals on denials, even when you are a legal purchaser. That's a gross violation of your constitutional rights. And that's all the ATF is right now. It is a rogue organization of jackbooted thugs that have no accountability. I mean, look at Eric Holder. He would not testify to Congress about Fast and Furious. He wouldn't turn over information on that. He was held in contempt. President Obama used executive privilege, so he didn't have to go in and admit what a failure the ATF is. It is a failure. Like I said, it is just an organization of jackbooted thugs out there violating the rights, the constitutional rights of good American citizens. And you know another thing? I think all gun laws should be state. I'm not saying we shouldn't have any gun laws, but they should be state laws. That should be the right of the state and the people of that state. The only role the federal government should have in gun laws is making sure that state gun laws don't violate the Constitution of the United States. So now that the DOJ has finally opened their eyes just a little bit, I'm hoping that soon they'll open their eyes fully and realize the ATF is a failure and that the federal government has no place in firearms laws, period. And then I'm hoping the American people will wake up to the fact that all the ATF is a perfect example of what happens when a bunch of ignorant people create a bunch of ill-conceived laws to create a government agency full of jackbooted thugs that have carte blanche authority to stomp on your constitutional rights and then finally get rid of them once and for all. You ain't even my real dad.